Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Thursday, March 14th, 2024, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $ ORION NWSF or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got NHL action this Thursday night. Washington Capitals versus the Seattle Kraken. Puck drop is going to be here in just a couple minutes. I hope everyone is having a fantastic Thursday. We'll cue some background music, and we will be getting started here momentarily. Let's go. All right, here we go, baby. And I've been deciding to kind of go through different options, with the thumb. And we are celebrating Ebbs' 1,000th career game, which was a couple games ago, but the actual celebration for the fans is here tonight, here in Climate Pledge Arena. So I did the Oilers and the Caps last night, and the Oilers just completely dismantled them. So this should be a good opportunity for the Kraken to kind of beat up on a team that is a little bit low on themselves. Now, can Ovi come in and get a hat trick or get a couple goals and an assist and beat us? Of course. But I feel that the way that the Caps have been playing as of late and the way that the Kraken have been playing as of late, this is definitely a winnable game. And then I had to hit you with something icy with the thumb. We got Ovi, Alex Ovechkin on the left, and I got a little Yanni Gourde there on the right. And I'm going to hit you with these different type of images and thumbnails with some beautiful background of the Pacific Northwest. Let's go, baby. And I kind of like mixing it up a little bit. Normally I'll do, the player images and the logos, kind of a traditional look. But it's always nice to be able to experiment and, do them a little bit different, do them a little bit in your own style and your own little way. So Megan in the building, what's good? Pizzle in the building, what's good? Daniel in the building, what's good? Let's go. And we're getting closer to baseball season starting up as well. Shout out to Cyberpunk and Sarah helping out on the Twitter/X. I appreciate that. Let's go. Pizzle, how are you? Daniel, how are you? What's good? Let's go. And then tomorrow, we don't really have a whole lot going on the NHL side. So I think we are going to do a free agency frenzy kind of like update. We'll end up doing that probably tomorrow. And we'll end up streaming sometime between 5 and 6 p.m. My time. And then we'll probably stream for like an hour to 2 hours, unless we get more people showing up than expected. And then maybe we'll do a 3-hour stream. But probably a 2-hour stream, 5 to 7 or 6 to 8 my time, Pacific, because we only have Ducks, Jets, and Kings, Blackhawks. So if I was going to go one of those games, probably Kings Blackhawks just for Connor Bedard, but I'm figuring NFL would be a good time, to kind of recap all the different moves that have happened, and if there's anything else that happens tomorrow morning or late tonight, then we can go over that. Sam Howell to Seattle. Oh, baby, I'm ready. Let's go. Get to 100 and donuts. Let's do it. Smash that like button and shout out to all the people watching on Twitter/X. Salute to you and shout out to all the people watching in the room as well on YouTube. Love you and I appreciate you. Playoff picture getting really, really close, with some of these teams, and it's really going to come down to the stretch, especially for the wild card teams who can be hot and healthy at the end of the year to be able to make that final push. And still, we're on the outside looking in. But I still have confidence if we can get hot at the right time, we might be able to get a little bit closer than people think. Yes, I'll definitely give you the hack tie sighting as soon as we get it. And as long as Ovi doesn't go crazy and get like a hat trick or 2 goals and an assist, or 2 goals and 2 assists, I think we should be okay. Some games Ovi, he looks like he's in his prime and he still looks like this, young kid out there. But then in other matchups, he almost kind of disappears a little bit, and I'm not sure if it's just based off the opponent. And we already know Edmonton is amazing. They're going to be one of the top teams that's favored to win the Stanley Cup this year as we get further and further along. But again, some games, maybe playing down to the competition, against another team that may not be a playoff team, and maybe you see Obi kind of step up. But whenever Obi ends up playing one of those top dog teams, sometimes he, kind of disappears a little bit, just like any superstar player that's getting a little bit older, just like Sidney Crosby. They're not going to be able to bring it every single game like they used to earlier in their career, but they are still dangerous. Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin, where, if you take them for granted and you just feel that they're done, they'll hit you in the mouth and they'll end up getting you a couple goals. So hopefully we can stay focused and we can end up getting a dub against the Caps here at home tonight to make sure to celebrate Jordan Eberle's 1,000th career game, since we ended up having that heartbreaking loss a couple nights ago when he actually played in his 1,000th game. All right, they got the little celebration here in the pregame, which is cool. All right, Ebbs. Yeah, the offense for Atlanta is starting to fill out a little bit more, with the players that they have with Kirk Cousins. So it'll definitely be challenging. The offensive line is pretty good there in Atlanta. They just need to really focus on the defense. So excited to see, the new pieces, with some of the old pieces. And ultimately, if you're a guy like Bajan or Kyle Pitts, you're really excited, and Drake London, because you actually know that as long as Cousins doesn't get hurt, you're going to get the ball. He's going to throw it. He's going to sling it. So all of those guys' stats should go up, and they're going to be, very, very excited. So we'll see if Kirk ends up getting 8 or if Kyle Pitts ends up keeping the number. If I'm Kyle Pitts, I give him the number. You can just go to your college number, and you can end up doing like 84 or something of that nature. I know Cordarrelle Patterson, I believe, had there's going to be a few guys, mixed into that number concept. But give Kirk Cousins the 8, and if you end up doing that, chances are Pitts is going to get a lot of targets. But if you give him the number, maybe you end up getting a little bit more than you think. So I think it would be best for business. And again, Kirk said that if he ended up getting the number 8, he would end up, donating to charity or giving money to Pitts if that's what he wanted. Or whatever is best in that scenario, either doing charity. I would assume with Kyle Pitts, instead of giving it to charity, I imagine Kyle Pitts would want the money for himself if he's giving up the number. But, 8 for a tight end is a little weird anyways. You might as well go to 84 or something that is a traditional tight end number and give Kirk Cousins the 8, but we'll find out if that ends up happening. And then obviously, Ritter moving there to Arizona for Rondale Moore, so that will be interesting to see how that plays out. And obviously a swap of picks. Sam Howell coming over. So we would assume now, Justin Fields, Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, no longer really maybe on the table. There still is an option for a late round quarterback for third string to possibly be selected this year or next year. And the thing about, Sam Howell, there's good moments with him, and there's also bad moments. So I feel with Sam Howell, and I watched him, play pretty much every game last season and almost every game in his career. I've had him in fantasy on and off the last couple years as well for, one of my just backups just for like insurance. And one thing I can tell you about Sam Howell is that he can give you big play ability down the field, 20 plus yards. He's good at that. But also with those big play ability, plays where you can end up being maybe a top 10 quarterback with the big play opportunities. Also on the flip side, he actually had a lot of turnover-worthy plays. He was number 1 in the NFL in that. So better coaching, better supporting cast. Offensive line still needs some retooling and some work. So if Geno does get hurt and Sam Howell comes in, we would assume that he would be able to put up similar numbers as Drew Lock did when he came in, maybe even slightly higher of an upside. But he's really going to have to put in the work because, again, for every big play that Sam Howell made, he had a big turnover on the next possession. So if we can figure out to have him keep control of the football, and the better that you can keep control of the football and not fumble, not throw a bad pick, not throw it deep into double, triple coverage, if he can work on that, then this might end up being a possibility for Seattle in the future after Geno. Maybe not. But for the time being, at least you got two quality quarterbacks, at 1 and 2, since Drew Lock is no longer there. So now if Geno does get hurt, you can throw Sam Howell in, and I think most people would feel confident that, he may not be able to win the game by himself single-handedly, but he did end up starting a good majority of the year. So I feel that he's more than just a game manager. He can win you a game, but he can also lose you a game. So hopefully we can get more on that win column for him. But, the only thing that really concerned me about the Sam Howell is the draft pick compensation swapping. Based on the limited picks that Seattle has already. So in my thinking, and when I talk to Reflect in the afternoon, we'll wait and see what Seattle ends up doing with this new regime, with McDonald and obviously with Schneider. But there is a possibility, based off the position of the picks and the number of picks that were swapped, based off the number that went down. Maybe, trading down to accumulate more picks can be a possibility. When I first initially saw that Seattle went and got Sam Howell, it was a little bit of a head scratcher. Obviously Fields or Michael Penix Jr. would probably have been a better fit. But on the bright side, Seahawk fans, if you're in the room, which I know a couple of you are, at least you don't have to worry about J.J. McCarthy getting picked. Could you imagine if the Hawks picked J.J. McCarthy, like if he slid in the draft and he ended up picking him? So I'm not sure if J.J. McCarthy is going to be a total bust, but I know that more fans would be pissed if McCarthy was picked rather than possibly Sam Howell. So again, the swapping of the picks is a little concerning. Sam Howell, had some moments where he played really good football, but then, kind of towards the middle to the end of the season, kind of got figured out, got benched, was playing like shit. So there's going to be good and bad, with Sam Howell. But again, if it was me personally, I would have rather gone through Justin Fields or Michael Penix Jr. But again, Penix might end up being on Minnesota. It'll either be him or J.J. McCarthy, more than likely, for the Vikings. And then Fields may end up just staying in Chicago. It's not a lock that they're going to get rid of him. There is a possibility, if they don't believe in Caleb as a man and they don't think that he's got the right personality and he's not all in, that they may just stick with Justin Fields and either trade the pick and accumulate a big number of picks to be able to kind of recoup and rebuild, or just trade, the pick and go down a couple spots instead of, just selling the farm and then deciding where you want to go at that point, offensive line, wide receiver, defense. So we'll see. It's going to be very, very interesting. And, there is a likelihood that, Sam will only be on the team, for short term. But again, for me, I have to give a proper evaluation. Just because someone gets signed, to a team, we can get excited, but we also have to look at it fairly. What did he do good? What did he do bad? Just like when the Seahawk fans and some people were concerned, about the Leonard Williams contract, where maybe it felt like on paper it was maybe 5, 10, 15 million too much for his talents. But again, if the salary cap goes up, it all depends on Leonard if he ends up stepping up and playing well and not getting hurt, and then he'll end up earning his paycheck. So, we'll wait and see, and a lot of things, we have to wait to kind of see how things end up happening. But for me, like I said, and everyone's going to have their own opinion, but for someone that follows every single team as if they're, that's my team, all 32, I try to grasp it. I try to get in the head of the GM, the owner, the head coach, the play callers. And that's what really gives me a lot of the prediction power and the ESP on this channel, because I really dig deep and I like to read and watch the film and try to gain as much information as I can, and then obviously breaking down the film and the fit. So, again, I know some people are going to be happy about the Leonard Williams. Some people are not. But if he ends up playing well, then the money's not going to matter. Some people are going to be happy with the 12s, with the Sam Howell deal, because they obviously have heard of him and, they saw that he was a starter on Washington. But again, you also have to break down the stats. Is he a notable name? Yes, he is. Is he young? Yeah, right. But again, the swapping of the picks, concerns me a little bit, just because there's not like a bajillion picks that the Hawks have to begin with. So maybe now they trade down, and again, it may just be a rental. So again, it may not be something where, this guy's going to be there for years and years and years. Because a lot of Seahawks fans, even a few years back, were thinking maybe Drew Lock will be here for a while, and maybe he'll get an opportunity, if Geno ends up getting hurt. But for the time being, it's going to be Geno. It's going to be Sam Howell. Don't be surprised if they end up drafting a quarterback late in the draft, either this year or next year, unless they end up going for a higher draft pick based on what happens this season. But I would not be shocked if they ended up drafting someone in the 4th through 7th round this year or next year, just depending on the situation. But just looking at all of the needs, there's a lot more need, than just necessarily backup quarterback. I would have rather them seen pursuing things more in the draft, honestly. But hopefully for Sam and for the Hawks' sanity, it ends up working out. Same thing with Leonard Williams. So. But again, you know how I do it. Like I said, I'm going to treat every single transaction, and I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it 100. I'm not going to just be able to toot the horn of the fans that are in the room. And, anytime something happens, to say, oh, it's great, it's great, it's great. Sometimes I'm going to say it's great. Sometimes I'm going to say I don't like it. Sometimes I'm going to say we have to wait and see. And I feel that we're going to have to wait and see. But, right now, I feel my opinion is, kind of like I need to be able to see how the draft goes before I rate this whole Leonard Williams, Sam Howell situation. And then we'll see if they end up having a good draft to kind of mull over some of the people that are upset based off a couple of these moves so far. So we'll wait and see. Can't really say it's an A grade. Can't really say it's an F grade. We have to see the action on the field and the chemistry and then go from there. So. Let's go, baby. What's good, baby? How are you? You're acting like Penix is garbage. Don't act like Penix is garbage, Megan. Penix is the best quarterback out of all the quarterbacks going into the draft. If Seattle got him, it would be amazing. It'd be like having Tua, back there after Geno, or possibly even better. So I know some people, like him. Some people don't, but most Seahawk fans root for him because he went to the Huskies. So it's in the same state. And on top of that, he played better really than most of the other college quarterbacks, this year and last year. So, lefties are nice. So again, it may be something where you don't want Penix on the Seahawks now, but if Penix ends up going to Minnesota and then all of a sudden leading, that team to a playoff appearance, in year 2 or year 3, and then he ends up being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, then a lot of Seahawks fans are going to be saying, what the hell did we do? We should have got him when we had the chance. So, Penix Jr. is one of those guys, and like I said, I'm a Duck fan, so I could definitely easily, be a hater and be like, Bo Nix is better, Bo's better than Caleb, Bo's better than Michael Penix Jr., but I just have to keep it 100, and, I think Penix Jr. would have been an amazing fit, and he wouldn't have started over Geno, he would have been a backup, and he would have been able to do like that Jordan Love process where you're learning from someone that's a veteran like Geno, and then if he got hurt, then you implement him, and then he comes in. So, but anyone that has any questions about Michael Penix Jr., as long as he doesn't get hurt, I think that his play will speak for itself on whatever team he gets on in the NFL in this upcoming draft. Joey Decord in net with Charlie Lindgren. Let's go, baby. Let's go, Joey. Let's go. See, that's what the draft capital was kind of question mark for me, so. Yeah, and a lot of times, you got to be able to, watch film and really break down full games. Because the thing is, it's just like when you watch sports. Anytime there's transactions and whatnot, it's going to be maybe a popular name, but name recognition will only get you so far in this league. And if there's a lot of problems with mechanics, leadership, arm strength, coachability. These are things that, just because you watch certain games, not everyone is going to pick up those other little things. Not everything is black and white in sports. Sometimes there's going to be a gray area too, that you have to be able to look at the intangibles. Just like when GMs and coaches, want to be able to draft a player, it's not just about what they do on the field, it's what they do off the field that also matters. So, we'll see on how it goes. But for me personally, I'm not really sure if that's the best option for them. I think that drafting players would have been much better and just taking a pass on Sam and having him go to another team to back up. But, we'll see if it ends up working out, for the organization or not. But we'll wait and see. All right, baby, here we go. Nice save. Oh, Yanni getting chippy out there. Yeah, and the thing is, Megan, you can watch film. Anybody can watch film. You can watch film. Sarah can watch film. Reflect can watch film, and I can watch film. But at the end of the day, if we're all watching the same thing, we may not be seeing the same thing either. And that's just the reality of it. Like we can all watch it, but that doesn't mean that we're all seeing the same thing. When we end up watching the tape and watching the game. A lot of little things, have to be noticed. It's like when I watch a football game, for example, compared to the rest of y'all, I'm a defensive-minded guy. So most people, when they watch football, they're watching the center hike the ball, and it goes to the quarterback, and then he decides to either hand it off or go to a receiver or tight end. But for me, a lot of times I'm going to be watching the O-line and the D-line, or I'm going to watch the defensive players, and then watch to see how they react instead of just watching where 99% of people watch. It's just the hike of the ball. So, depending on what you're looking for, footwork, athleticism, agility, guys that can do things that may not be noticed by an average fan or someone that is watching the traditional way. Depending on how deep you go, that's what we're saying. So again, everyone can watch film, but doesn't mean that everyone is going to have the same notes at the end of the day based on what they've watched. So, but I hope it works out for you guys. You know what I mean? Like, I really hope it does. I root for you guys every single year, and I would love for you guys to, get past the Rams and catch up to the Niners. It's going to be very, very competitive, and I'm really excited to see how this Mike Macdonald era is going to be for you guys moving forward. Four shots on goal for the Kraken, 0 for the Caps. Come on, Kraken, let's get it for Ebbs, baby. Turn this down. All right, come on, Riker, let's go. Wow, Chargers trading Keenan Allen to the Bears. Well, if that's happening, Justin Fields is staying. If Keenan Allen is going over to the Bears with what they have already over there, I don't know if they're going to be going for Caleb at that point. I mean, maybe they do, but I don't think there's that many people that are interested in Justin Fields at this point, and a lot of them are going to be going towards, the rookies and whatnot. So, maybe in their best interest, you keep Fields and then you build around them. I mean, imagine if they went and they did Fields and then you had drafted Alt and like Jackson Powers, and then you ended up solidifying the O-line. Of course, it would be a lot sexier to pick like Caleb and Maserati Marv, but that's not going to solve the problems long term. All it's going to do is put butts in the seats temporarily, and then they're still going to be in fourth place. But if you end up getting like the best guard or tackle and the best center, and you start beefing up that line, if you decide to keep, Justin Fields, and of course we don't necessarily think that an offensive lineman is going to get picked first overall, but if they trade down, to like the third pick the offensive lineman, accumulate a couple more picks, things could get kind of interesting over there. And I had a feeling that some of those guys were going to be gone. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa, and Khalil Mack. And there was a rumor, that chances are 2 or 3 of them, were going to be there, and maybe 1 or 2 would be gone. So it looks like right now the ones that they're going to keep is Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, and then Mike Williams got cut, and now Keenan Allen going to the Bears. So, and plus, if you give Justin Fields a top 10 wide receiver, then you can really understand where you're at with them. So, I mean, if I am the Bears right now, and you got Keenan Allen, you got Cole Kmet, and you got some of those pieces over there, DJ Moore, offensive line is going to be very, very critical. So if it was me, I wouldn't draft Caleb. I would trade the pick, go down to like maybe third, and or fourth, accumulate as much as I can get, as far as first rounders and second rounders this year and next year, and then, try to beef up that offensive line and the defense. And if you end up doing that and you end up snagging 2 all-pro offensive linemen, then the Bears are back in business. All they need to do is solidify that O-line, get some defense in the draft in the next couple of years, and then they won't be in last place anymore. It's going to be tough with Minnesota if they have McCarthy and Penix with all their weapons, as well as Love and, Jared Goff in the offense. But if you do the right thing and you don't listen to a lot of the fans, and you build it within, and you get the right guys on the offensive line and the defense, the Bears won't be in last place forever. They'll slowly creep their way, they'll creep up, and they'll be fighting with Minnesota, and then at some point maybe the Bears could be a second place team in the North. But interesting deal there with Keenan Allen going to the Bears. Chicago has got to be fucking thrilled with that. And again, it gives Fields a true number 1 receiver other than DJ Moore. So now the offense is starting to kind of come together, and it wouldn't make any sense really drafting Caleb or anyone else at this point. If you're going to keep the pick, why? Why would you keep the pick? Because if you end up keeping the pick, you're not going to get anything extra. So, and if you're not going to go for quarterback, you trade the pick, right? You go down to the third pick or the fourth pick, you swap with another team that is going to draft a quarterback, and then you get as much as you can. You get a ransom in return, and then maybe if the Bears can hit on those picks, maybe they won't be sitting, obviously in mediocrity and, at the bottom of the barrel forever. So interesting. We will see. I like the Tyrell move. Like I said, each player is going to be, broken down individually, based on money, the trade, and everything else. So, but the Tyrell move, I don't mind that one. And like I said, and the Leonard Williams money part, I feel that like most fans freak out when they see it on paper, but ultimately, if the player doesn't get injured, and tear an ACL, and they're out there and contributing, everyone forgets about the money once the games start going. It's not a big deal anymore. It's all about just repping the Hawks, repping the 12, making sure he doesn't have a season-ending injury, and hopefully he can be a key contributor on that D-line that has been a little porous, in the last couple of years, the O-line and the D-line. They need stability there, so. But, for all the people that thought it was a for sure deal, Caleb number 1, for me at this point now, I would definitely keep Fields, trade down, collect as many offensive linemen and defensive players, studs that I could, and then build it that way. And then, get those extra second round, third round, fifth round, first round picks this year and next year, get the ransom, have those teams compete, for Caleb and Jaden Daniels and Drake May, and then a surprise team, like maybe the Giants, and have them just start bidding and going on a bidding war. You never know what, someone is going to give up, to be able to get that first pick, especially if a lot of people are unsure about the first pick this year. Is it Caleb? Will he pan out or not? Will Jaden Daniels pan out for Washington? Will Drake May pan out for New England? What I mean? Lots of questions there. And then you got J.J. McCarthy or Penix maybe with Minnesota panning out or maybe not panning out. And then Bo Nix on Denver panning out or maybe not panning out. So, but not a lot of I think people that are like confident. Like when Andrew Luck came out in the draft, we were confident, right? We knew that he was going to be good. Peyton Manning, we knew, but we have a lot of talent in this draft. But again, I think a lot of people that have watched all of these players are kind of feeling that the guys that don't go right away, right, might end up being better than the guys that go right away. So if you end up sliding in the draft a little bit, it might end up working out for y'all. So. Again, when players get older, it ends up being more of like a salary cap dump. So, of course, Keenan Allen is a first ballot Hall of Famer like, Mike Evans for the Buccaneers, right? But once you get a little bit older, depending on how much money is owed and how much over the cap that you are, sometimes you become a cap casualty. And then you get these like monster trades where you get a big name player, and then all of a sudden you think they're going to get a couple first or a second rounder and a first rounder or a third rounder. And then all of a sudden a trade is completed and you have this Hall of Fame player, and then he gets traded away for like a fifth and a seventh, and you're like, how? Like that doesn't make any sense, but that's how the NFL has been restructured in the last few years. You have to really pay attention to the money, each individual team, the cap, the needs, and sometimes, you'll have a cap casualty and you'll have to, make a move. And of course, do the Chargers want more in return than what they got? Of course, but it's a business, and sometimes you just got to get the deal done, move on, and then they got to go down into that, pecking order, on what is the necessity and need for that team, and hopefully it ends up working out. So very interesting to see. But if it's me right now, and you got Keenan Allen there, fourth rounder seems a little low. I know I know Charger fans. Like one of my best friends, Joey, is a Charger fan. So now he gets no Mike Williams, no Eckler, no Keenan Allen. It's literally like a brand new regime there, with Harbaugh. But again, I think it might actually be a good thing for them because sometimes you got to blow shit up, for things to get better. And, just like with Chip Kelly, he had Jeremy Maclin and LaShawn McCoy. All those Eagles fans were pissed when he came there and blew that shit up. But once he blew that shit up with Jeremy Maclin and Shady McCoy and all of those players, what happened? They ended up getting to a point where he got fired. The team ended up progressing. He ended up, drafting Carson Wentz, had Nick Foles, and then you ended up winning a Super Bowl. So for all the people that thought, Chip Kelly's terrible, he ruined the Eagles. If it wasn't for him going in there blowing that team up, Philadelphia never would have won a Super Bowl because they would have had that money for those players that he ended up having there, those star players. So, sometimes things happen for a reason and tough decisions need to be made. All right, we got 13 minutes and counting in the first period. 6 shots on goal for the Kraken, 4 for the Caps. $2K? Nice. Heck yeah. You gotta play with Detlef. Gary Payton. Sean Kemp. Irvin Johnson. Xavier McDaniel. The good old days. Dana Barros. I mean, I can name drop for days, baby. Yeah, Gerald Everett. Yeah. Lindgren with the save. But again, a lot of times when we have these quarterbacks, you have to be able to have a top 10 or top 5 receiver to really understand, how good they're going to be. And again, like Fields had DJ Moore, and he used to be a top 10 receiver, but I think that, based on how he was used, he was more seen as a top 20 or top 30 receiver. He was good. He had an opportunity where he could get 1, 2, or 3 touchdowns in a game, and he did have that one game where he ended up having 3. In a game. So, but again, it's all about consistency. So, getting 3 touchdowns in one game and then getting blanked for many, many games and then scoring, 6 games later, you got to have a little bit more consistency instead of a boom or bust type of wide receiver. And even though Keenan Allen is old, still one of the really, really good route runners, great players. And, I'm definitely interested to see how things shake out with the draft and with all these other moves that are going to be happening. Crazy. I imagine Keenan Allen probably isn't too happy, but it is what it is. A fresh start could be maybe good for him. But as far as like going to a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl, that's out of the question. But you weren't really getting there with the Chargers anyways. So we'll see. But very, very surprising news with Keenan Allen going to the Bears. I know one person that's ecstatic about it is Justin Fields if he ends up staying a Bear. because that's probably one of the best things that he's heard, through all the criticisms and, oh, we're gonna trade you this and that, and and again, for a guy that has potential, that has shown flashes. I mean, Justin Fields is not Zach Wilson, he is not Mac Jones, and he's not Trey Lance, and he might not be Trevor Lawrence yet, but he's not that far off. You just need to be able to surround him around better coaching and better weapons, and then we'll finally decide, is Justin Fields a top 10, top 12 quarterback, or is he always going to be a top 16 quarterback where he's just kind of in the middle, where he plays good, but sometimes plays bad. So very excited to see where this all kind of turns out. Yeah, and I think that's another thing too. I feel with like fantasy football and why it's so instrumental to be able to evaluate players and picks, and everything in general about beast players in the NFL. Because if you end up being really good at fantasy and you're taking it serious, and you're following all of the elite players, it forces you to watch players and teams that you normally wouldn't, because they're on your team in fantasy. So it gives you more knowledge and it gives you more backbone and background on certain players. Because, like for me, am I normally going to go out of my way and watch every single game of Sam Howell? No, but if I have him on my roster, on my bench, am I keeping up with everything that's going on with him to decide if I want to keep him, if I want to dump him? Does he have potential, that he's going to be able to play well or not? And that's another thing of why fantasy is so good for people, because it can help you learn the game better. Everyone, men, women, doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the sex, but the more that you play and the more that you can learn from it and the better you get at it, it gives you a different perspective on the league as a whole, and it gives you a better understanding of players other than the ones that are on your favorite team. And then you can kind of break down and have a better comparison to other players based on the things that you have seen, because that guy was on your fantasy team. Maybe they weren't on your fantasy team the whole year, but when they were on your team for that month, you might have paid attention to that guy and those games a little bit more than you would have. So that's another thing I think that fantasy football can do. It can help you with predictions. It can help you with breakdowns and also comparisons. And then when we end up having trades and moves like this, people can watch a highlight reel, but it's not really the same as watching full games and watching the mechanics, and because that's what I do. Anytime I got a guy in fantasy, I mean, I'm watching him like a hawk. If the game is on, or if it's not in my local area, I'm going out of my way to watch it, because I want to make sure that this piece is worth it, to be on the roster. So yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out, with all of these moves. But very, very interesting off season here in 2024. Let's go, baby. Let me do a little refresher here. 9:43 left in the first period. Pearl Jam guitarist in the building. Wow. 3-2-0 all-time record versus the Caps. Oh, big hit on Borgen. Get up. There he is. Oh, that was a big hit on the glass. 8 shots on goal for the Kraken, 5 for the Caps. Let's go, baby. One timer wide. Eight shots on goal for the Kraken, 5 for the Caps. Come on, Tata. Oh, Tomas with a little spin move. Caps are a little bit more aggressive than the Kraken tonight, but hopefully we can find the right line and we can get a power play to kind of get this Uncle Mo started for Seattle here at Climate Pledge Arena. Lindgren with a save. Oh, good defense there by the Caps. Seattle almost snuck one in there. Come on, Kyler. Come on, Turbo. Passing has been a little sloppy in this first period for the Kraken. But again, that's due to the over aggressiveness of the Caps. Probably pissed off from getting their ass kicked yesterday by Edmonton. Oh, he's right there. Ooh, that was close. Did Hollywood Brown sign with the Chiefs? Still rumors about that and whatnot. I think they would be better off in not spending the money and drafting one of the rookie wide receivers, but that way you get a player that's uber talented that you can mold, and you don't have to pay the money for them. There's always going to be pros and cons when you end up signing players or going from a guy, in the draft. But if you're going to get similar production or even better production, and you don't have to spend as much money, that's the key to being able to build a championship contender. Is not overspending money if you don't need to. And a lot of times if you bring in guys for that big dollar amount, if they end up getting hurt or not playing as good as they did on their former team, then it ends up hurting the ball club moving forward. So. But you could also, on the flip side, draft a rookie. He gets hurt, and then you're screwed that way too. But I would have rather seen, like Rome or Franklin or the Chiefs try to go for a rookie wide receiver, which they still may end up drafting. So they still have many guys that they need to upgrade and replace. Come on, Maddie. Let's go, Jordan. Come on, Maddie. 9 shots on goal for the Kraken, 5 for the Caps, which is kind of surprising based off their over-aggressiveness, but everyone's just kind of going through the motions right now. Haven't got to see Hack yet. They haven't done any close-ups of him, so no tie sighting just yet. Come on, Dumoulin. Yeah, we need a different line. We need a line change. We just got to find the right line to be able to have that rhythm. 2.7 goals per game for the Kraken, 2.6 for the Caps. So pretty even there. Shots per game, 28 to 27. So, I mean, we're almost dead even with the Caps based on certain statistics. Still feel we're better than them, though, overall, player for player. Even with them having Ovi there, and being a little older. Come on, Kraken, here we go. Come on, Eli. Come on, Yanni. Less than 5 minutes to go in the first period, still knotted up at 0. Matt in the building, what's good? What's the money on Hollywood? And they got Irv. What's the money on Irv and the years for both of those guys? Come on, Burakovsky. Punch him. Good pass. Get it out of there. Get it out of the crease. There we go. Good defense by Seattle. Push. Here we go. 2-on-1. Good defense there. Finally, we might have had a fast break there, and then they poked it away. Damn it. 1 year, $4 million for Irv. That's respectable. And then for Brown, 1 year for it's just a rental then. 1 year for 11. You would have rather had that number closer to 8 or 9, but I guess wide receivers are getting paid. So, and the thing is with Hollywood Brown, he gets hurt a lot. So I mean, he does have deep playability. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know if you can count on Hollywood Brown playing a full 17 games. It's like he seems like a guy that's going to play like 10 to 13 games. Like he'll be out for a month, almost guaranteed every year. And you just got to hope he doesn't have like an ACL, MCL, or PCL or anything like that. Or if he's got like an Achilles or something that's like lingering. But hopefully it works out for them. DeAndre Ayton in the last 3 games, he's been participating. 30 points, 19 boards. I think that was the game that I went to. 22 points and 15 boards. And then last night, 33 and 19. Where has this been, DeAndre Ayton? This is like Phoenix Suns numbers when you actually were getting the ball. But good to see, even though the Blazers are a terrible team. But I know we're playing the Knicks right now, so hopefully he can keep it up. Let's go, baby. 3:44 left in the first period. We're still knotted up at 0. Caps, Kraken. Let's get it. Take a look at the line. What do we have in right now? Dumoulin, Larson, Belma, Tanev, Yamamoto. And obviously, we have Joy Decord in that. And then what do they got? Jensen, Dowd, Protas, lingering in. Oh, they just made a little bit of a line change there. Oh, they got Jordan in now. All right, so we got Eberle, Dumoulin, Larson, Turbo, Brandon Tanev, and Yamamoto. Come on now, let's go. 9 shots on goal for the Kraken. 5 for the Caps, just kind of going through the motions. Still probably feeling that heavy weight on their shoulders from that whooping last night from Edmonton. Come on, Kraken. 3:14 left in the first period, still knotted up at 0. Let's go. Okay, no worries. I'll be grinding here, and hopefully we can end up getting a goal here in the late stages of this first period or the first part of the second. But it hasn't been due to lack of effort in this first period. Just, no one's really gotten any major power plays, and there hasn't really been a lot of breakaways either. There's only been 2 penalty minutes. We have been winning a majority of the faceoffs, which is good, 61%. But the hits, 13-7, and we're leading in shots. But we need to get into the power play, something to get us started and get us going. Two minutes to go in the first period. Come on, Kraken. Oh, nice save. I sent you a message, Reflect. Yeah, yep. March Madness, yeah. Baseball too. But I believe that the Padres and the Dodgers, where they're going to have the Seoul series in Korea, but it's going to be like at a weird time, like at 3 a.m. or something for us, isn't it? It's going to be like the time difference. I got to look at the schedule to see what time it's actually going to be for us here in the States and whatnot. But I did see Shohei Ohtani's wife, where they were trying to say, oh, Shohei Ohtani's wife is just a regular, Japanese woman, trying to make it look like she's like some some woman that works in an office or a cubicle or something like that. But supposedly she's like on the like the Japanese national team. She's like a basketball player. And I saw a photo of the two of them. If that it ends up actually being his wife, but she looks almost as tall as Ohtani. If Ohtani is 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", his wife is a good basketball player, and she looks like she's 6'1", 6'2", like no joke. So I mean, if they end up having kids, that might be the most athletic baby of all time. I was surprised on how tall she was. because they had like a photo of like Yamamoto, and they had like the translator, his homie, and then another homie, and then obviously I assume him and his wife and whatnot. She's so tall. Like it's like for someone to be like, like for me, I'm like half. So it's like if you're half Japanese and half like white or European, and you end up being 6 foot or taller, that's like, okay, you know what I mean? But if you're like pure 100% Japanese and you're like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", you can definitely tell the genetics and the genes and the food and the diet. Everything has changed, within the last, maybe 40 to 50 years with some of these kids. You're still going to get some of the traditional smaller Japanese men and women that are like 5 foot to 5'5", but it's amazing to, like me and my mom and other people, because my mom is like 5. I'm 6, and my dad is 6, but to be able to see people that are full, like 100% Japanese, and they're like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", or even a woman being like 6'1" or 6'2", pretty amazing. But I saw a little highlight reel. I saw the highlight reel of her, shooting threes and being like on the Japanese like Olympic team or national team, and she can ball. So obviously, clearly not as good of an athlete as Shohei Ohtani being the best baseball player on planet Earth, but still, if they end up having kids, watch out. I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, what the kid is going to be, 6'4", 6'5", and what is he going to be, a dual NBA / baseball player, something like that? The second coming of Bo Jackson, but Asian. We'll have to wait and find out. And that's also assuming if they end up having kids or not. So. Yeah. See, the thing is, it does mean something, because the people that are running it, like Chris Collinsworth, and this is the difference between, watching, like, let's say the Ducks in college football, occasionally watching the Packers and Denver, but for some of us, this is our life. This is all we do. We're watching everybody, watching many, 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 many players, many, many, many games. So I feel that there is, not necessarily like PFF bias, but they have a formula, and obviously if it's based off statistics and then the number ends up, comparing to other players, and they have that formula, and if the formula checks out, it's not like the numbers are made up. If someone has a high ranking compared to someone that doesn't, maybe there's a popular name that has a low ranking. You have to take that to heart, because again, if you don't look at those things, then you're going to end up overpaying, for a player that is not as good as they really are. Sometimes people get caught up in that name recognition. So, and I would agree with this too. It's like the PFF, analytics, film study, and like I said, and you can have 10 people in a room watch film, right? But that doesn't mean all of us are going to see the same thing. You might notice something, Matt, with route running that maybe me and Reflect miss, and maybe people, don't see the defense and the O-line and the D-line and, the play calls and the shifting and the pulling. Maybe I see that a little bit more than, others and whatnot. Like, everyone's going to have, certain, phases of the game that they're going to look at. But again, we could have a bunch of us in the room watching the same exact film at the same exact time. And if we ended up like taking notes on like what we saw, I guarantee every single person is going to have something different, except you're probably going to have a couple people that will have similar ideas if they think the similar type of way. So, Hybrid in the building. What's good? Hell yeah. I'll be doing an NFL free agency frenzy stream tomorrow. So, if you're not doing anything and you want to come in and we can kind of go over a breakdown of the moves based on stuff that happened tonight, tomorrow morning, as well as tomorrow afternoon. But we'll record tomorrow from 5 to 7 or 6 to 8 Pacific time. We'll go for about 2 hours. And if we get a good amount of people in, maybe we'll go for 3. So, but that's the thing. See, I think that's why I feel that you and me Reflect, we kind of get it. It's like, if you are elite at fantasy football, it's not just a game. It does really coincide to your knowledge of, understanding depth charts, understanding, what players do on certain teams other than your own favorite team. And like I said, sometimes you can luck yourself, to a certain point in fantasy, but for the people that really, understand how the game is played, the better that you are at that aspect, I feel that you understand the game and the NFL as a whole a lot more than others, because you're forced to pay attention to all the teams. You're forced to pay attention to all the players, not just your own. So if I'm watching, all the teams and all the players compared to someone that's only watching their favorite team, who do you think is going to have more of an idea of what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Not that my opinion or Reflect's opinion is going to be right 100%, but if you're watching more and you're focusing more, then you're going to have a better idea depending on if you know what to look for. So, that's kind of how it goes, I feel. Like, it doesn't mean like if you're not good at fantasy, that doesn't mean you don't understand NFL at all. I mean, of course, people are going to understand certain aspects of the game, but what I'm saying is that the better that you are at fantasy, it forces you to learn and look at the game differently than ever before. There hasn't really been anything else that's been put out mainstream that forces you to be able to learn and evaluate on such a high critical level, whether you're in a 150 buy-in money league or if it's like a free league, through like NWSF or whatnot, depending on if we have, certain things that we do for prizes. But that, I feel like, as far as evaluating players, if you take it serious, you're going to go out of your way to read more, click on more names, watch more film, and then it'll give you a better conclusion at the end of the day when you're making comparisons with other players and other teams. End of the first period, we're knotted up at 0. Yeah. And again, sometimes, you'll get surprised. Certain guys don't look like they're the right player, and then they end up, having like their, breakout game, and then they end up finding themselves. And again, sometimes guys pan out right away. Sometimes guys pan out halfway through the season. Sometimes guys pan out in their second or third year. So it really depends. Everyone isn't going to be a superstar right out of college, but a lot of times, if you, have an eye for like height, weight, 40 time, hands, acceleration, you can look at all of those things. And then also for me, I take it even further. I'm looking at the off the field stuff, coachability, all the stuff that's black and white. I'm going to look for that gray area stuff to give me that extra advantage when I'm looking at things. But yeah, it'll be very interesting on how this NFL is shaped out, and we'll definitely go over more NFL news tomorrow, and hopefully we'll end up having more breakout trades or big moves that we can talk about tomorrow afternoon, since we only have 2 hockey games tomorrow, and I don't think they're really worth doing. So let me know what you guys want to do, obviously, for photos, and I got you. Yeah, but the thing is I feel that the real fans that were looking at it, it wasn't taking him over Carter. It was taking him over Gonzalez, because Christian Gonzalez had the better height, the better coverage, the better weight, better, zone and man-to-man, and then he ended up having a season-ending injury for New England. But, and it's not even like a Duck thing or like a Husky thing or anything like that. If you're just looking at player for player, that's why people were a little bit concerned. But again, sometimes if you end up picking a player that is a team fit, maybe not the guy that's most athletic and the best player, then if you're not going for the best player at the corner position, you better pray like hell that pans out. Because if you end up going for like the second corner or the third corner or the fourth corner, and that's your first pick, when you could have had, other guys that are rated higher, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So I feel that, a lot of people may have liked it over Carter, but a lot of people didn't like that move because they thought Gonzalez was the better corner. I think that's the whole, thinking that maybe he wouldn't work out because of his size, and just the way that he was playing up to the point where he had his breakout game, against the Giants. So. Lions extended Campbell and Holmes. Well deserved. They did great. Yeah, and also too, it's about team fit. And again, it's like you can have players, but it has to be a team fit. And so it's like, Jahmyr Gibbs is great. We've seen him do, amazing things, but would he have been as successful, on a team that didn't have a good offensive line? He would have shown flashes, but he wouldn't have been the Jahmyr Gibbs, that electricity type of player that we saw in Detroit. You got to think they had, two like all-pro offensive linemen. So if you go to a team that doesn't have an O-line, Gibbs is still talented enough, like Barry Sanders was with just Lomas Brown or like no offensive line, still to make plays. But again, it's a team effort. It's about the head coach. It's about the quarterback. It's about the O-line. It's about the scheme and the play call. And then obviously it's up to the player to be able to, do the best that he can in the system that he's been put in. So, sometimes, things magically work out, and you have to have that eye for that type of player. So, and again, even with those Detroit Lions players, think about how many quote unquote experts were shitting on the Lions. A lot of us in this room thought the picks were great, and we thought that it was going to be a perfect fit, which it was. But again, some people, out there, I feel like, for everyone that watches the NFL, I think everyone feels that they're an expert, but in reality, not everyone is. There's going to be some people that put in the more time and effort and energy and understanding, but, everyone will have opinions, but again, you have to be able to be willing to put in the same type of energy and work, compared to someone else to have that same type of kind of thought process on, evaluation of players. Ooh, look at those jerseys. All right, we're at 0. You guys let me know what you want to do for photos, and I got it. Fire away with some names. It could be NFL names. You let me know. Let me look at some team stats before we do some photos. All right, so we got pretty dead even stats, pretty close. 9 shots on goal for the Kraken, 8 for the Caps. A little bit more aggressiveness out of the Capitals, 15 big hits to Kraken's 11. And only 2 penalty minutes for the Caps, nothing for the Kraken. But one thing that we have been good tonight in face-off percentage, it's probably been the biggest one-sided percentage so far after a period. It's 65% Kraken, 35% Caps. But we got to get some power plays. We got to be able to find a way to get some advantages here. Obi hasn't scored. He really hasn't been in that much of a groove. We have to find a way to be able to get some goals, baby. Matt, were you in the room when the news with Keenan Allen dropped? Were you in here already or no? Keenan Allen got traded to the Bears. I'm not sure if you were in the room already or not. Yeah, I'll start there. We'll go over some of the guys that got moved today. And make sure you guys are taking care of your mental health. It is very important. You are the only one that is in control of your mental health. Take care of yourself and do the right things to make sure you can win the day. Herbert's got to be sick to his stomach. No Eckler, no Williams, and no Keenan Allen. The only people they kept was Bosa and Khalil Mack. That's rough. But again, you have to be able to understand, if guys are getting too much money, sometimes you got to start over. And then, like with Reflect, sometimes you got to look for maybe some stat and analytical guys, maybe guys that aren't the biggest name, but, they have talent and, depending on the price, and trying to find the right type of movement moving forward for the Bolts. So, but definitely the offense is going to look completely different than what we're used to with the Los Angeles Chargers. But I got mad love for Keenan Allen. Love him. Always loved him. Great receiver. Fun to watch. And I'll definitely be rooting for him in Chicago. And then we'll see if Justin Fields will be the one throwing passes to him or someone else. Because if Fields ends up staying, if that ends up happening, it's a possibility, depending on what they do in the draft, if they get some offensive linemen, Justin Fields could be a top 10, top 12 quarterback, based off stat. If the offensive line can improve, the defense is still going to be bad, but, there's a chance that his stats could, go up, pretty considerably depending on what they do in the draft. They still need offensive line, like so bad, but it's the offensive as far as skill position players, and they still need better running backs as well. They still miss David Montgomery, on the Chicago Bears. Khalil Mack isn't good enough. Khalil Mack is good for an RB2, but not to be your starter. So, but I wish the best for Keenan Allen on his new journeys to the Chicago Bears. I mean, that's what I would do. I wouldn't, draft Caleb or Drake May or Jaden Daniels. I wouldn't. And then I wouldn't draft an offensive lineman number one, because that would be stupid. Because if you already know someone is willing to give you an arm and a leg for a quarterback, and you're not going to go for a quarterback, right? Or you make them think that you may, but you're really not, then try to get as much as you can. The dumbest thing Chicago could do is draft an offensive lineman number one overall. So we already know that we think they're not that dumb. So again, you can still get that same exact player, and then maybe another player, and then a few other draft picks. And then if you can beef up that O-line, like if you can get 3 quality starters out of the draft on the offensive line and then beef up that defense, it's still going to be tough for them. But, depending on if Minnesota gets Penix or McCarthy, you could battle with them. And it still looks like Green Bay and Detroit are going to be the top dogs. And something's going to have to give for Chicago and Minnesota to be able to catch up to those two teams. It feels like every 4 to 5 years, you're going to have a Chicago Bear team that might be able to get to 10 wins, or at least that's how it was. Or every 5 years, you're going to have the Vikings get possibly 10 wins, and maybe they can get second place. But they haven't shown, Minnesota or Chicago, that they have the right ownership, GM, coaches, and coordinators in place to be able to keep up with a Packers or Lions team. So, it's going to be definitely very difficult for those teams in that division. But depending on what they do in this draft, Chicago and Minnesota may be a little bit closer to Green Bay and Detroit than people think, depending on what they do. It's still going to take time, but you can kind of see a little light at the end of the tunnel, depending on if they do decide to, keep Fields and then, go for amazing offensive linemen, and not trying to put butts in the seats. Make sure you're getting the right pieces, there, and hopefully if they can hit on those draft picks, then maybe the Chicago Bears won't be absolute dog shit in the future. So, I mean, and especially, if Keenan Allen can be the guy, with him on one side and, DJ Moore is still there, right? Colt Kmet. So, you've got weapons. But again, for him to be able to get the ball to those guys, he's going to need time. So again, a man's best friend is not only a good running back, but a great offensive line and a great mind at play caller. So, again, skill position players are great and all, but again, if you don't have time with your O-line, those guys are never going to be able to get the ball, because he's only going to have a second or a second and a half, and he's going to need 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 4.5, sometimes to make those big plays. Some wide receiver routes take time to develop. Not every route is going to be able to be completed in 1 second. So, all right, we're in the second period, baby. Hopefully things get a little bit better for you. And hopefully we can get a Kraken win, and then that'll make it a little bit better for today. Yeah. Well, also with like Josh Allen's stats were dog shit before Diggs came. So, he had potential, and, we knew he was a gunslinger from Wyoming and he had an arm, but we didn't really hear about Josh Allen until Diggs got there. Go back and look at the stats. And I think that's a thing, that sometimes people have like recency bias and they only remember what happened last season. They didn't remember what happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And for some of us, we have a pretty good memory of it, or if you need a refresher, you can actually go and look at stats, type it in on Google. Take a look at career stats and completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio. And when you're doing these types of things, that will help you evaluate players a lot better in the future, not only in fantasy, but just in conversations like this as well. For everyone thought that, Josh Allen is such a great player. We knew he was raw and we knew he was going to throw picks and throw into double and triple coverage, but he didn't really elevate his game until he got a number one receiver. So, and a lot of times you got to get a number one, a top 5, top 10 to really see how good they really are in the NFL, And again, DJ Moore used to be a top 10, but I feel now he's more kind of like top 20. So that wasn't really a true evaluation for Fields. You need someone a little bit better. But now you got Keenan Allen, so it'll be very, very interesting. And that's a good thing too, because that means that Cole Kmet is going to get more opportunities, and there'll be more double teams on one side or another. So, somebody's going to be cooking, obviously in Chicago next year. But it's going to be up to that O-line, to determine how good. And obviously the better O-lineman that you have, Pro Bowl, All-Pro, not only is that going to make the running game better for the running back, Khalil Mack and company, depending on who else that they get, right? But also if Fields wants to run the RPO, if he ends up still staying on the Bears, he'll be more effective in that also. And that's really what, Fields is. He's going to be a dual threat quarterback, not just a pocket quarterback, Because essentially you're going to want 2 or 3 touchdown passes, and then if you can get a score on the ground with his legs, that's when Justin Fields is Justin Fields and maybe a top 10 or top 12 quarterback, when he's going to be putting up 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 touchdowns in the air, 3 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground, things of that nature. Or if he has a monster game, 3 touchdowns in the air and 2 on the ground, and if you end up putting up stats like that, that'll really take a franchise to the next level, but you're never going to do it unless the offensive linemen are quality. Really that's the gasoline in the Lambo. And, I feel that a lot of NFL franchises don't still to this day realize that, yeah, I know it's not sexy, but if you don't got good offensive linemen, you ain't winning shit. I mean, that's just really what it comes down to. Yeah, more stats. 2, 4, 4, 4, 4, and in the last 2 years, 7 and 8 touchdowns. So he was the key guy. 96 receptions, 1,364 yards, when he had 8 tutties. So, top 15, top 20 player. With 8 tutties, you could probably put him in that top 15 category. But then you would have to look at all the other wide receivers, look at their yards, look at their touchdowns, and then kind of come to a comparison on what we feel. But, definitely not top 10 on the outside, but, definitely has room to improve. And, DJ Moore is good enough to get 1,500 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns or more. But it just depends if you can have a quarterback to give him the right look. But 96 receptions is a shitload. Yeah, normally Keenan Allen and Mike Evans are right next to each other. But again, you got, Devontae Adams and Tyreek, and and now you got guys like Amon-Ra, and then obviously Garrett Wilson will be in the top 10 consideration if Rodgers can stay healthy off that MetLife turf. That was the guy that probably took the biggest hit. Because Garrett Wilson would have been like Amon-Ra St. Brown this year. It would have been that same type of quality of a player, I believe, because we already know Garrett Wilson is amazing, and it's just, he needed Aaron Rodgers to get him the ball, and he probably would have had a Devontae Adams type of season if he was able to stay healthy. I would assume somewhere between 1,200 and 1,700 yards, and somewhere between 10 and 16 touchdowns for Garrett Wilson if Rodgers would have played a full season. But again, we're not going to really know until we actually see it. So. Less than 15 minutes to go in the second period. Knotted up at 0. Let's go, baby. All right, we need 2 more to get to 10. If you haven't smashed the like button just yet, please do. Oh, you're good. You're good. That's saved by Joey. Come on, baby. Crazy to think too, how many more moves are going to be made, how many crazy trades of great players are gonna happen, and then are we going to get any big trades on draft day? There's going to be who knows how many. We might have a lot, we might have just a couple. It's definitely going to be a lot of excitement this year, though. I mean, there's excitement every year in the draft, but I feel like this year, there's going to be a lot of just like, oh my God moments in the draft, I think. And I'm definitely going to be looking at the sleepers, in rounds 3 through 7, to try to find those gems that should have been drafted in the first or second, but maybe there was an injury concern or maybe a concern about, who they are as a person, maybe in some of the decisions or things that they've said. And sometimes teams can get turned off by that, but so that's why these teams need to go through this evaluation process properly and to see if that is a legit thing or if it's something that they can work past. So. Let's go, baby. Still knotted up at 0. Let's go. Let's take a look at the lineup. What do we got? Ovi is in. We got Schultz, McCann. We got Ty Cartier, Riker in there. Joey DeCourtenay. I actually like this lineup. Who's going to be the guy for us? Bjorky, Maddie. 11 shots on goal for Seattle, 10 for the Caps. 18 big hits for the Caps, 13 for the Kraken. 2 penalty minutes each, which is really weird at this point in the game. It's been not a lot of, I don't want to say dirty play, but, it's just been a lot of just skating around and kind of feeling each other out. And the one advantage that we have is obviously in face-off percentage, 65% to 35%, but we need to get some damn goals here. We beat the Caps 4-1 in January. Right, and this is the last matchup of the year, so let's beat them up if we can, right? We limit Ovechkin's action, and then we got to get something going, right? There we go. $1 holla, 99 to go. Let's go, baby. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, Cactus Jack. Bang bang, $1 holla, 99 to go. Let me know what you want to do for photo. You got a particular Colt or St. Louis Blue or a Cardinal player? You let me know. Reliable performance. Most seasons with 20-plus goals in NHL history. Gordie Howe, 22. Ron Francis, the GM for the Kraken, 20. Jaromir Jagr, 19. Jaromir Jagr's bobblehead got stolen this morning. Someone stole in Pittsburgh 15,000 Jaromir Jagr bobbleheads. I've seen them on eBay. People are selling them, for like $100 a pop. Makes you kind of wonder what's going on there. And think about like if you were gonna, go to the game and you bought tickets only to get the Jaromir Jagr bobblehead because we already know the Penguins. They haven't been very good. Lately they've been getting their ass kicked. And imagine already buying those tickets and just wanting that $50 to $100 bobblehead, and then some guy or a group of guys end up stealing the truck, and then boom, 15,000 bobbleheads of Jaromir Jagr gone. but I assume that we're going to start seeing some of them float around on eBay sooner than later. Reflect with a 3-er. Appreciate you. Thank you, Mine. Appreciate you, Mine. Stacks on stacks, Rex on Rex. Cactus Jack, bang, bang. Any more? Got you. Yeah, those are my favorite. Beautiful. I still like the standard, dark jersey. The whites I like. Even the teal alternate has kind of grown on me. But after looking through a lot of the past Winter Classic jerseys of other teams that have had them, it's all about color combination, and it just seems like a lot of times one will be good and then one will be and it's very rare where you get 2 Winter Classic jerseys that are like, oh wow, that are like showstoppers. But I really, really like the color scheme and the way that they are. Get it out of there. But also it's about the placement of the colors too. Making sure that you have an eye for style and making sure the right colors are at the right spot on the jersey. But beautiful, 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 beautiful logo, beautiful colors. Awesome. Yeah, that's the best part. That's the best part of the jersey. It's like you look at the jersey and it's like, you got a little bit of like the home jersey and then you got the teal, so it gives you kind of the alternate feel. But really what makes this pop is, the ode to the Metropolitans, but the big bright S, with the kind of the beige outline stitched on, Kraken right there, and obviously having the numbers in red to make it pop. That's what makes this jersey 11 out of 10. Not even a 10 out of 10, but if they would have done something not as bright, then it may still look good, but not this good. But that's the thing that for me that really makes this jersey stand out and pop is right there, dab in the middle of the chest. The ode to the Metropolitans with that big S and then that Kraken right there. It's just so cool. And I like the numbers being red too. Just, sometimes finding the right outline, of a stitched jersey with the numbers, it can really make all the difference in a jersey for sure. All right, less than 12 minutes to go in the second period. Can we get a goal, please? Lauren in the building. What's crack-a-lackin', my guy? You ready for Mariners baseball? Man, I'm ready. And hopefully we can get some new Mariner fans to come through, and we'll get some of the old school Mariner fans that were in the streams last year and the year before to come through as well. I'm definitely excited about this season, and hopefully we get some good quality support. Everything is dope. Like the beanies are dope. The hats are like everything that I've seen. Looks very, very cool. Haniger with another bomber. I had to send it to you. Opposite field too. The ops. He's locked in. He's locked in, man. And it's nice to see. I mean, if we can hit 250 to 270 as a team, or at least a stretch of the season, that will help us get to 100 wins. If that's the goal. If the goal isn't 90 and the goal is 100, and then if we don't hit 100 and we hit somewhere in 90, then so be it. But sometimes you got to aim high, and again, there is 162 games in baseball. So if we go 100 wins and 62 losses, again, there's going to be teams that have well over 100. But, if you're not at that number and you're sitting at 88 to 95, that's usually a wild card number. And you have to get to 90 and above typically to get in. So if you are sitting at 88 or 89, some years you'll get in, some years you won't. So it's like for sure to be able to get in, you want to be able to get 90 wins or more. It would ultimately be 90 and 72. And hopefully we can be better than that. I'm hoping somewhere between 95 and 100 wins, not 80 to 89 wins, but we'll find out. Well, getting Haniger back was huge if he was playing good. If we got him to come back as a fan favorite and he was sucking ass, then it would have been a dumb thing to bring him back. It would have been for like the fans and to try to give them a little juice, because obviously fans were pissed that we didn't spend enough money on getting people. But the simple fact that Haniger is locked and loaded and he's hitting bombs, left and right, and he really looks like, kind of like what Jared Kelenic was looking like, last year, obviously going into the regular season, hot. So if Haniger, ends up being the guy that hits the first home run for the Mariners in the opening game, that wouldn't surprise me one bit. But hopefully that juice and that Uncle Mo can rub off on the other players. And then we got Polanco and Garv, and we still got our favorites. We got Julio, we got JP, we still got Cal, and then obviously all the stud pitchers. So it's going to be a very fun year, I feel, for the Seattle Mariners, as long as the hitting can match the pitching. Bryce Miller, I'm going to go George Kirby. I'll go George Kirby for Cy Young over Bryce. Bryce has got potential, but he's like, to me, he's better than Wu, but he still needs to learn and prove. Castillo and Gilbert are like older, and sometimes they'll play good, sometimes play bad, but we've seen Gilbert get on a heater where he can win 8, 9, 10 starts in a row after starting off good, hitting the wall, getting depression, and then bouncing back. And then Castillo needs run support, sometimes good, sometimes bad, you know what I mean? But for Miller and Wu, sometimes like with Wu, great performance today, a couple performances before, a little raw, you know what I mean? And it would be great to get Miller up to that point, but I think if I was looking at who's the guy, if we're going based off name recognition, of course, Castillo will be the first one that will be named off for, Cy Young or an award, because it's Luis Castillo and he'll probably be our one, right? But if we're going through a full season, George Kirby has the skill set and the talent to be the number one pitcher moving forward, and then hopefully Bryce can catch up. Wu can get better, and then we can, we already have arguably the best starting five out of any team. But again, being the best starting five on paper is great, but we have to actually get out there and prove it, against the Astros, against the Rangers, and against, even the Angels and the A's, so, and the rest of the American and National League. But yeah, I hope Bryce keeps getting better. He is one of my favorites, but if I had to go like Bryce or Kirby, I'm going Kirby. I think I got a little bit more confidence in Kirby right now than Miller. So, but I love all of them. But if I had to do like my pecking order, I'd probably go Kirby 1. As far as like who I like, and then probably Miller 2, and then probably Castillo 3, Gilbert 4, Wu 5. I think I'd probably go that route. Even though I know Castillo and Gilbert sometimes will outplay Kirby and Miller, but those are the guys. I like guys that we bring up in our own system. It's like, do you like guys that you draft, or do you like guys that come in as free agents? So, like, even though we didn't draft J.P. Crawford, he might be the exception, as far as like my favorite guys. And I like Eugenio Suarez too, and he was a guy that came over, but I still like Julio and Cal as like my favorite guys as far as like positional players. All right, less than 8 minutes to go in the second period. Still knotted up at 0. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Getting a lefty in the rotation would be awesome. But again, it has to be the right type, and we can't force it. It's like, yeah, let's get a lefty, Robbie Ray. How does that work out? Not very good. So, if we don't, and again, if we don't have a lefty starter, it has to be like mid-reliever, mid-reliever, good save, nice job, Joey, like when we had Spire and some of these other guys. But you just want to be able to hopefully one day have a left-handed starter, but there's just not really a lot of great left-handed pitchers. I don't even know if we could name 10 great left-handed pitchers that are playing right now. There's going to be some here and some there, but there's a lot less dominant left-handed pitchers that are starters. I feel there's more lefty mid-relievers and closers than there are quality starters. But, at some point, it would be nice, to be able to have a great lefty. But if these righties can get it done, and then again, it also depends on, how many left-handed batters we're going against, how many right-handed batters. And I still don't like that whole, right-hand pitcher, right-handed batter, left-handed pitcher, left-handed batter. No. Then if the guy's a DH, then he's got to go over. Like, if I end up seeing a left-handed pitcher, don't go and bat right-handed, Cal. Stay left on left. Your stats are going to be better. But again, as we've seen baseball, it seems like that's just how it goes. If you're a switch hitter and you got a right-handed pitcher, then you're going to go left. And if it's, you're not going to go left on left, right on right. But again, if the percentages are that much lower, why are you putting yourself in a position for the pitcher to win before the at-bat has even started? Cal batting right, batting like 180, Cal batting left, like 260. I mean, it doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to understand. Will he get lucky and hit a bomb off a left-handed pitcher when he's a DH and he goes to right-handed batter for Cal Raleigh? Yeah, but he's not going to do it as often as he would if he did left. So that's one part of the game that still confuses me to this day. Because if the percentages said, okay, you're a switch hitter. Now, if you got a left-handed pitcher, bat right, and he bats 300, batting right-handed, and then 260 left-handed, fine. But if the percentages say, oh, it's 80 points lower, why the hell are we doing it? They need to get someone in the room to understand that just because everybody else does it doesn't mean the Mariners have to do it, And I don't think I've seen too many people that are switch hitters that have to go to their off side, end up being consistently great, when they have those opportunities. But that'll be something that me and Reflect and a few of the other Mariner fans, Lauren and a few others, that will probably dig up some stats and see, who is the best switch hitter, when they have to go to their opposite side, in Major League Baseball. Ebbs playing in his 1,000th career game on Tuesday. Now we're at 1,001. We need to find a way to get some goals here. Got it up at 0 still, baby. Found this amazing YouTube channel that takes old film and, tries to get it to a point where it's like 1080p HD. And it was Broncos-Niners from 1988. And the coolest thing about it is it's a full game, and it also includes the commercials. It totally brought me back to being 6 years old all over again. You see Montana, Roger Craig, Jerry Rice, John Elway. Fucking amazing. And Dick Enberg calling the game. Oh, my God. So good. And then I went through the guy's list, and he's got a bunch of other stuff from like the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. And all the guy does is try to repurpose film and then try to, show it, from those games, including like commercials and whatnot. My buddy is a big Bronco fan, and I sent it to him. He said, I just watched it. Epic. Nice save. And then once we get to a commercial, I'll throw up some Kenny Moore, and then we'll get some photos up for Reflect too. Wilson goes down. Is that a penalty? Fuck. Wilson with a flopper. Dumoulin is like, you flop, buddy. Tripping. Minor penalty. Did he really trip him, though? Let me see. Stick is caught in between them. Wilson holds his stick in between his legs and then just kind of falls over. I don't know about that. Better not give up a goal here. Yeah, Tony Dorsett as a Bronco, too. Carl Mecklenburg in his prime. But it's just really cool to be able to see, like, the old school announcers like that, too. I mean, I remember watching Dick Enberg all the time when I was little and whatnot, and just to be able to hear his voice again and call the game, extremely underrated. That's cool that you got to see a little Vin and Howard Cosell. I have to go back. I think, and the crazy thing is, it's it's old school footage, but then, like I said, it's repurposed to look as HD or 4K as possible based on, this guy and, taking a lot of time and energy to go through a lot of these old games to make the actual footage look good. And, watching it on your phone, it didn't even do it justice. I had to actually put it on my flat screen in my room to end up watching it. And then the best part was the commercials, King of Beers, Budweiser, and just seeing the old logos and everything else. It was just so awesome. Damn it. And then there's the goal off the power play. Son of a bitch. 1-0 cap. Motherfuck. Knew that was going to happen. Fucking A. Damn it. Oshi, TJ, nice job. 1-0 caps. All right, TJ Oshi. TJ. Why? Damn it. Even the logo didn't like it. See, it even went white in the background. Even the logo could sense that wasn't good. Son of a bitch. 1-0 caps. We cannot lose to this team. See, these are the games that if you end up losing, we're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, I was looking at a stat a couple games ago, saying that looking at our point total, and then since a certain time period of the NHL season, since 2007, no one with the point total of what we had at that game has never made the playoffs. Since 2007, based on where we were sitting and with the schedule that was left. So if we were to be able to make a wild card, we would be one of the first teams to do it based off where we're sitting currently at points. So it's not going to be necessarily impossible, but we can't lose to teams like this if we want to even think about trying to get close to trying to get a wild card this year. TJ Oshie on the power play, unassisted 1-0 caps. Come on now. Come on, Jordan, get up. Oh. Momentum is really on the cap side right now. You can feel like right now we're reeling, and we just need to get the puck out of the crease, and we got to help Joey out as much as possible. Because if they keep firing away, it's going to be 2-0 here in just a matter of seconds. We got to help him out. There we go. Finally, at least got it to center ice. Come on, Kraken. The last thing we need is Ovechkin to get a goal, and then we'll be down 2-0. If we get down 2-0, we're probably not coming back. Come on, Bjorky! Oh! Good defense there by the Caps. Got a good opportunity right there. Less than 3 minutes to go. 2-on-1. Let's go! 2-on-1. Come on, Bjorky. We need you. Good pass. Good pass. Oh, damn, Joey. Wow, that could have been another goal. Help him out. Come on, Kraken. Play defense. And plus, I think the more that you follow the game as a whole, it'll make you smarter overall, instead of just, receivers and tight ends. being able to watch other elite players at other positions, and then you start appreciating the game as a whole. And once you start appreciating the game as a whole, every position, every player, every team, greatness exists everywhere, and you really start seeing the game differently. At least I did. 17 shots on goal for the Caps, 11 for the Kraken. Cartier, get in there. Every time the Kraken have an opportunity to get a shot, there's always two Caps right in front of the fucking goalie. Come on. Why don't you explain it to me? Explain. Oh no. Tornado dog. Rest in peace, dog. Take cover, dog. Elliot posted he got a quarter or a $half size hail. He ended up having some stuff on socials. I don't know what's going on with the weather and whatnot, but in the Midwest, it seems like there was like good size, like quarter size hail that was dropping down for like, I don't know how long, 30 minutes to 2 hours, but depending on the area. But it seems like things are getting crazy in the Midwest right now. You can hang around. It's up to you. We got a minute to go in the second period. Let's go, baby. What's the weather like in Australia right now? Where you're at? What'd you have? 3 inches rain? 3 tornado warnings? Golly, I'm glad that I live in Oregon. Man, that'd be very stressful. Come on, Kraken. Cannot lose to the Caps. Can't do it. Won't do it. Come on now. And I haven't got to see a hack sighting for the tie. That's the reason why we haven't scored yet. All right, now I gotta throw up a couple photos, and maybe this will help us. All right, we gotta get in gear here. We're running out of fucking time already. All right. We're going to go on a treasure trove of photos, and hopefully one of these individuals will help spark us with a goal. Come on, Joey. Come on, Yanni. Come on, Maddie. Come on, Kyler. Come on, Jared McCann, wake up. Go, Maddie. Come on, Bjorky, we need you. Bad. Jared McCann or Bjorky, let's go. Let's go. Maybe Ebbs can even get it. Let's go. Yeah, especially when you see those reports where, like certain parts of the ocean are so warm that you have like thousands of fish that are coming up ashore. Like where we had that one story that we talked about. Where was that at? Was that over like kind of near Texas or whatnot? Or I remember and then there's another one that was like over like in Asia and whatnot in a certain area, and also like in the Florida Keys and whatnot. But certain areas, they have those pockets of the global warming and whatnot, and normally the temperature is supposed to be like, let's say, like 50 degrees or like 60 degrees, but then they have certain areas that ended up heating up to like 70, which to some people doesn't like think like that's a big deal, but it really is. because a lot of those fish cannot handle, that jump in temperature. Coral reefs are going down the drain too. Yeah, I remember. I like to be able to look at a lot of that type of stuff too. Obviously I'm going to be paying attention to a lot of the stuff that's going on with like sports and pop culture and music and whatnot. But I like to know what's going on in our world. All right, end of the second period, 1-0 Caps. All right, let me know what you guys want to do. Let me get some photos here. I'll get Kenny Moore, and then we'll get some photos for Reflect. Everett, Washington, TJ Oshie. It's a homecoming. Come on, Kraken. Ooh, that's a nice one. That's a cool photo. Yep, 100%. And some of the coral reefs are going to disappear, like completely. I watch a lot of Nat Geo and history and discovery. I like to be able to kind of educate myself on, what's going on and everything. And, they're saying on certain parts of the ocean, there's going to be certain coral reefs that literally will disappear, based off all the changes that are happening in our atmosphere and our earth and underwater, which is going to be devastating for a lot of the plant and wildlife that's down there in those particular areas. Some areas are going to take longer than others. It's not like every single coral reef will disappear, but there's going to be a lot of areas that are going to be destroyed, it sounds like, based off a lot of these like scientists and a lot of the testing and things, and plus just video and then the research and the obviously the data and the analysis that they've been collecting over the years. Most people are thinking that some of them it's going to be 20, 30 years, maybe 40, on some of these other areas. That's a little scary to think about. Yep. Blue Jay in the building. What's good, bro? So far, it's not looking too good. I mean, defense has been all right, but, it's not like Ovi has gone crazy and whatnot, but, we don't really deserve to make the playoffs this year, based off how we played this season. But, you just want to be able to finish strong and you don't want to give up. You just want to be able to give everything that you got. And, it's like, I think it's kind of a thing for Pacific Northwest teams in general, and a lot of teams do it. They'll play up to the competition. Like if we play Colorado or Vegas or, one of the top tier teams. And then if we play a team that's similar to us or worse than us, or, kind of both teams are kind of bad, the battle of the bad, then we play down to the competition, and then if that ends up happening, then, you have matchups that are kind of like this. 1-0 Caps. Rooftop in the building. What's good, bro? You ready for Mariners? Haniger, baby. What do you want to do for photos, Reflect? You got any individual that you want from the NFL draft, or you let me know if there's something specific that you want. I got you. Yeah, let's do some Hannigan. Well, Blue Jays, they fucking better. 1-0, this is embarrassing. Washington is dog shit. But I guess people could say Seattle's dog shit too. So, I mean, we got to, call a spade a spade. Both of the teams aren't very good. But I still feel that the Kraken have a better overall team lineup. But it's just like, sometimes we don't get the most out of our players game in and game out. So, but I'm hoping the Kraken can find a way. 2021 Hannigan. I think we're all hoping for that, right? All right, let's get some Hannigan up on the screen. Hannigan, baby. Before Hannigan. After Hannigan. Mitch. Hopefully Hannigan can come out of the gates, bat 300 to 310, something like that. Just be hot for us like Kelenic was at the beginning of the season. And hopefully Hannigan won't be the only player that is hot for us, because if that ends up being the case in the first 60 games, it's gonna be a long, long year. But I feel that we might have gotten rid of the pieces that we needed, and if we can stay healthy, there's a chance that we could win the division and do some big things and surprise a lot of people. No one's going to be surprised out of our pitching staff, but I think people will be surprised if we can win close games. 1-0 games, 2-1 games like we did in Julio's rookie year. We can do that. Just that simple improvement alone, being able to win one-run games, that could give us 10 extra wins in a season alone. Just winning those 2-1 games, 3-2 games, 4-3 games. Very good in Julio's rookie year. Last year we were dog shit, and also games in extra innings. We weren't very good there either. So. But always nice to be able to have a former player come back. And it's not just for nostalgia. He actually is playing well, earning his contract, and more fans are going to be, on his side and rooting for him to succeed, because we're going to need all of the guys that are new, either new to the team this year and you were on the team in the past, like Hannigan, and then we get to see Garv, we get to see Polanco, and I think that a lot of Mariner fans are excited about those two as well. And we're going to get good production out of JP and Cal and Julio, but a lot of times it's going to be the others that are going to be needed for us to be able to win against the very competitive American League. Hannigan, baby. Can't wait for baseball, baby. Consistency. That's what we need, baby. And we get some consistency. Oh, these Mariner photos look fire. So, Rooftop, how many games are you gonna try to do this season with your job and whatnot? Are you gonna try to do like half of the games, depending on your work schedule and whatnot? My goal is usually, I mean, obviously I'm full time, so it's a little different my situation than yours, but my goal is to do like 120 plus games, 100 to 120 total. Obviously there'll be a few Dodgers and a few other games when the Mariners have a day off, but 100 to 120 games out of the 162, that's going to be the goal. I mean, of course, if I could do all 162, but sometimes there's going to be just weird times and whatnot. So, and I'll have to go for like a matchup that's maybe later in the evening. But I'm definitely going to try to pump out as many as I can, at least 100 to 120 for the season. Majority of the home games, nice. What time do you typically get off when you are getting off work right now? Are you getting off like around 5 p.m.? So you'll still be able to do the late games, I would assume, like the 7 p.m. home games for the Mariners. You're going to be locked in on those, and then like I said, depending on what we decide to do, we'll figure out some collabs and whatnot if we want to be able to call a game. And if we end up calling a game, I wouldn't be opposed. Like if you want to call the pitch by pitch, if we do a stream together, we can always flip flop. Like I can call, pitch by pitch, but I'm not opposed to doing color commentary while you call pitch by pitch if you feel comfortable doing it. But again, it all depends on your comfort level and how you're doing it, because sometimes you can just watch it and it's kind of like a watch party. But of course, when you end up doing baseball, if we're doing like live play-by-play and reactions, then you got to put in a little bit more effort with the, pitch by pitch and whatnot. So, but I wouldn't be opposed to doing color commentary if you feel confident enough to do pitch by pitch in the future. So, but if not, we can, just do pitch by pitch in color or whatever you want to do, and you can chime in and react and whatnot. And you'll be doing things on your channel too, and doing little TikTok things, as long as TikTok doesn't get closed down, which it sounds like they're trying to get China to sell it and whatnot. I'm not sure how successful the United States will be with TikTok ending with all of the people that use it and whatnot, but there'll be other social media outlets for you to be able to put your material out on, with YouTube Shorts and Instagram and other things if TikTok does go away. Well, you're going to have a couple of us that are going to be that. So there's not really a whole lot of people. I mean, as far as I know, I'm the only one that does them full time. So no, there's not anyone else that I've seen that is doing as many streams as me. But again, you can always capitalize on little highlights and things like that. But again, it's very, very hard to grow, no matter who you are. And I wish the best for you. And then maybe if we can help each other out and, go that route, Plus, it's like, you know enough about the Mariners where it's like you're not a novice, and it's not like you've just, started watching. So you have good insight, I have good insight, and, we'll figure out, in the future if we end up having Trident on as well, depending on his internet connection. But I imagine we'll have a lot of fun this season, and hopefully the Mariners are successful. So. I did see that. We talked about that earlier in the broadcast. Crazy. She's almost as tall as Shohei. Shohei, it looks like, in the photos, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". Hell, his wife looks 6'1", 6'2", 6'3". She's like, oh, she's just a regular girl. Like people thinking that she works like in an office or something, like a cubicle. She's like a Japanese pro player for basketball. So, but I did see that. Imagine if they have kids. Yeah, and also too, I think that if you go live and then I'm live and then you join, like my stream, you'll still be live on yours. So you'll be live and I'll be live, and it'll just be on your channel and my channel. But even if you join, I'm pretty sure it could be like that if you set it up that way. Like if you end up going live and then you go live and then you join, and then essentially all of your fan base will be able to see exactly what I see on my side and your side as well. So now, again, if you just join a stream, that's one thing. But if you're actually live yourself, and then I'm live, and then you join, then I think you should be good on both ends. I would assume that's how it works. So that you should be able to have the two separate streams in two different places that we could possibly do. So. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in the room, obviously that watch a lot of YouTube and different collabs and whatnot. So if I do a live and then Rooftop does a live and then he joins my stream when he's on the live, then they should be able to see the same backdrop on both streams, correct? For the people that have watched people collab with other YouTubers and whatnot. So I assume that that's how it would be, But again, if you end up just joining, a stream and then, then that might be different than if you're just on StreamYard and whatnot. So, but we'll figure it out. And I wouldn't be opposed to, joining a stream on your end and whatnot. If that's going to be able to, it would be nice to be able to have the same picture on both. So even if you join my stream, it still will pop up on your screen as well. So, but however it ends up working out, we'll figure it out. And again, I'm going to be doing probably 100 to 120, 130 games out of the 162. So I'll be very, very busy. So NBA on NBC, best intro ever. And when you do the collab, does the same screen show up on both channels? So it's for example, if, we were live now and it's you and me on the screen, would it be the same exact screen for you on your channel at that point, or is it going to be different? Are you guys both live at the same exact time when you do it? '81, yeah. Yeah, we gotta represent, properly. So, and you never know, there'll probably be some others that are out there, but I would assume, as far as Mariners, I think people know who you are, people know who I am, so I guess, we'll figure out what the scenario is. But I want you to be able to succeed. It's a tough thing to be able to get into, but if you have love and passion for it and you're willing to put in the work, which I know you are, then it could be a good thing, I think, for both of us. And obviously, the better that the Mariners do, the more people that will be hopping on YouTube to watch with us, when we do our content. So, we every single year, the Mariners are better and better and better. There'll be more and more eyeballs that'll be focused, on the Mariners and whatnot. And at least we have arguably the best pitching staff. So that alone is going to attract some eyeballs and whatnot. And we have a superstar in Julio that will attract eyeballs too. So, and it would make sense, if we have to, kind of try to grind and, try to collab to try to get more eyeballs on us, And then, the more and more Pacific Northwest fans and fans across the globe that rep the Mariners, we just need to try to get all of those people grouped into our channels, so that way they know where to go. So, yeah, but if you ended up being on my channel and you wanted to call the play-by-play, I would let you. You're probably the only one that I would let you do it. If you felt comfortable enough to do it, because again, doing play-by-play and color, it's like you really have to be confident in your abilities, and you have to feel comfortable, in the process. And the more practice you get, the better that you'll do. And you've already been doing it for a little bit, so. But I definitely could, should fucking rest my voice a little bit, and if you wanted to do pitch by pitch for a little bit, or we could take turns, in the innings, however we wanted to do it, it doesn't matter to me. I think just the collabs itself will help both of us out. So, and then that way I can help plug your like little Instagram shorts or YouTube shorts and whatnot, and then I think it'll just end up benefiting the three of us, this season and beyond. So. 38, nice. All right, Megan, take care. Hopefully we end up finding a way to tie this game up, or if we can get 2 goals here in this third period. Feels like the off season for baseball has been so long, though. Like the excitement of it, starting to come back, but then now it's like I felt like with the Cactus League and the Grapefruit, it kind of like went a little too long. I think like a lot of us were like, okay, excited, there's baseball, and then you had games, but then after like 2 weeks of games, you're like, shit, like let's get the season started already, instead of having to wait like a month and a week for the season to start. But that's just right around the corner. And what time is the game, Rooftop, going to be in Korea? So we have the Korea series for Dodgers Padres. What time is that going to be on? As far as here for us in the Pacific Northwest, is it going to be on like 2 in the morning when they have that Seoul series in Korea with those 2 teams playing? But yeah, whenever you're available, you just message me and let me know. And then again, we might have to be on the same link. Even though you might be able to watch it, this way or that way. But if we join the same link at the same time, even if we're like 20 seconds behind, it's fine. No one's going to care. And then as long as we're on the same link together and we're watching the same screen and the same action at the same time, and then we'll be good to go. So. Well, once we didn't get Ohtani and we saw, the Dodgers get all these players, the Mariners didn't really do enough. I mean, we made a couple of low-key moves like we usually do all the time, but it kind of feels a little different this year with like Polanco and Garv, and it feels like maybe something special could happen, and then Haniger coming back and being hot, like. Uh-oh, penalty. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. They got enough going on their plate with Wander Franco, so they got all kinds of issues and whatnot. I mean, obviously Yankees offense will be much better with Juan Soto there. With Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. We'll see what the Blue Jays do, and yeah, it's going to be very competitive. Astros will be good, Rangers will be good. American League is stacked, so it's going to be very tough and competitive. You're doing the Korea game, 3 a.m. I'll wake up. I mean, I'm not going to stream it, but I'll wake up though. Your title is going to be in Korean and English. There you go. There'll be more of an Asian following too, with like Ohtani and Yamamoto and whatnot too. And my dad's a Dodger fan since the 50s, so So for me, like I know just as much about the Mariners as I do the Dodgers. Just for me, myself, and my dad. So I got a lot of I'm very comfortable calling games of any team. I did a lot last year, so it doesn't really bother me if it's Mariners or not. Like, I feel, I'll throw up the photos of the starting lineup, the pitching changes, and I think that really did help, because the more that you do of other teams other than the Mariners, it gives you a better knowledge and a better grasp of the game. Instead of just being an expert of Seattle, you get to try to be an expert of everything. So, and I don't mind doing games of other teams, but it just depends on, like, who it is. Of course, I'll enjoy Dodgers probably the most when it's not the Mariners, but I'm not opposed to doing, Rangers or Astros or Yankees or Cardinals or Blue Jays or whoever. Damn. Lindgren with another save. Bjorky. There we go. Power play, baby. Before the Bjorky goal, after the Bjorky goal. Fucking let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Took us to the fucking third period on the power play. That gave me a mental health boost. Let's fucking go. Bjorky. That's what I'm talking about. That was the last Kraken photo I pulled up. We threw up Hack. We threw up Decord. We threw up Yanni. We threw up Maddie. And my last one was Bjorky. There we go. Thank you, sports gods, for paying attention. We're knotted up at one, baby, with a wrister, and assisted by Yanni Gord and Kyler Yamamoto. Let's go. Let's go. Took us long enough. Yeah, my dad's been a fan since the 50s. So I was born in 82. So I've pretty much seen everything electric that has happened in wrestling and sports since 85. So that was the time where, I was in front of the TV with my dad, as he was reading like the Oregonian or whatever. I'd have my G.I. Joes, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, wrestling figures, and, wrestling ring, and starting lineups and all. And a lot of wrestling, a lot of baseball, basketball, football, hockey, from 85, 86 time, when I was around 3-4 years old is really when it started. And then it really ramped up heavy, probably right when I was about 5 or 6. So around like 87, 88. I got a lot, I still remember things from, being super young, but a lot of the memories, the key ones, I remember from about probably 5 years old. So I would have been, 1987. So. But I still remember stuff from like 85, 86 seasons and stuff. So, me being 41 now. Yeah. Plus, a lot of the times were too early. They were on at like fucking 12, like 12:30, not the most ideal time where people are at work. So, and again, when I'm full time, I have to look at this as like a business, It's like, am I going to be able to hit the goal and donos and views and subs if I do a fucking game at preseason baseball at 12:30? Probably not. That's why I had to kind of lean towards more like NFL streams or doing hockey, because I have to look at the time. Sometimes it's more about the time than the actual event. And you start to realize that once you become full-time, in streaming. Sometimes you're going to get someone that is a hardcore fan of yours that's going to wake up and say, you know what? It's 10 in the morning. I'm going to donate $100 to ODOG or $100 to Rooftop. But then again, there's going to be times where people are just not around. It's just too early, So, nobody. Kennedy. I never collected the Toy Story stuff. For me, my era was more Transformers, Ghostbusters, Masters of the Universe, He-Man and Skeletor, G.I. Joe, and then, one of my favorites, obviously was Ninja Turtles, Ninja Turtles Till I Die. So, and then, I'm a big Star Wars guy too, so. Marvel, DC, Star Wars, all that. Good pass. We're knotted up at one, baby. Let's go. Yeah, the tough thing about baseball is that you have to make sure you're grinding on football and other things, because baseball fans that just watch baseball, it feels like you're gonna get some of them out there, but some people that watch baseball, they don't support. And it feels like certain, and I do everything on the channel, so I kind of have a gauge on like what events support and what events don't support. And it seems like NBA, you get very little support as far as like donos and whatnot. Baseball streams, if you do get support, it typically is someone that is like an NFL or college football fan that just so happens that is watching you and then is supporting, not necessarily just a baseball fan alone, but hopefully, more and more people will support people, on YouTube that do everything, NASCAR, baseball, basketball. But from my experience, a majority of the people that support are more on the wrestling side and more on the football side, obviously being a little bit more popular, and there's still going to be a market for NHL, NASCAR, baseball, but it feels like you're going to have to work very, 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 very hard to get to that point. And then once you get to that point, you have to understand that it may not be there every night. It's like, I don't know, baseball fans are kind of fickle. They don't really show the same kind of love and support on YouTube than people that watch wrestling or football. But they are out there. Born in 92. Damn, you old as hell. 92? You old. AARP. Yeah, you're a 90s baby. So you got to be able to get into this stuff in like late 90s, early 2000s. By the time you turned like, you were what, 5 in 97, 7 in 99. You were 8 years old when I graduated. Connor needs some money. He needs some money in his billfold. He says, I need 2 more goals scored in the period combined. If I had to take just being honest, I would say probably not. There's a possibility, if we get into overtime, at that point, but I'm not sure if we're going to get a 2-2 score and a final score of 3-2. I hope for your case it happens. It might end up being a 2-1 overtime type of thing or a 2-1 final in regulation, but it is possible. I mean, things have gotten kind of ramped up here in the third period, but hopefully for your case it happens, but I'm not too sure. It's almost like 50-50. It's like 50-50. The game ends 2-1 for either the Caps or the Kraken. 50-50 that it ends up being 1-1, and then obviously someone wins in overtime 2-1, or you end up getting goals by each team, or one team gets 2 goals and then they end up winning 3-1. So there's a number of scenarios, but 2 more goals in the period combined. I would say the possibility of that happening isn't impossible, but I would say as of right now, probably like 33% chance. I mean, it's like you have a third chance. It's, maybe not 50-50, but because it could easily be 2-1 in the third period, 2-1 in overtime, but getting 2 goals, which essentially would be 3-1 final, or 2-2 go into overtime, and then someone wins 3-2. Those would be the scenarios off the top that you would have to win. So 32 years old. Yeah, I'm pulling for you, Connor. Hopefully you can get the bag, bro. If it's that last part of your parlay, I know how that goes. Yeah, it is definitely hard to lose weight, man. I've lost like almost 70 to 80 pounds since COVID. But again, my diet has changed. I'm not really drinking beer or alcohol. I don't do fast food really at all anymore. And I'm eating, like vegetables and, steamed vegetables every day, and like rice or noodles. And I only eat 2 meals a day. And also I exercise an hour and a half, 7 days a week. And I've been doing that for, about 6 months, a year now. So, as far as dedication, is concerned, those are the drastic things you need to do to go from weighing 275 to 193. And I'm still not done. I still got a goal to try to get to maybe 185 to 190. But I feel like I've already lost so much. I'm like half of what I was. And it's the best that I've felt, but again, if I didn't make a diet change, and if I wasn't dedicated to my pup to make sure that she had the best life, no way in hell I would be walking for an hour and a half outside 7 days a week. Maybe I would be doing like 30 minutes a day, but it's really hard to hold yourself accountable. But when you have a pup, that needs it, then there is no excuses. You have to do it for her. So God bless Paisley Pup, because she has changed my mental health for the better, and my physical shape has been the best it's been since I've been in my late teens, early 20s. Make sure you take care of your mental health. Let me tell you. $96 to go. I agree, Rooftop. I agree. Plus, if you have like a bunch of Mariner streamers or content creators that are competing with each other, it's going to be hard to break through unless you are like the top dog or whatnot, But, even if I get to a point where I'm like the most well-known, if we can all work together and boost each other up and then be known as like a kind of a clique, we have our own little, like unit, that represents the Mariners, and we have some kind of name that we call ourselves at some point or another, then that will gain more traction and gain more, followers and people, because then they know it's not just one person that they're looking out for. They're going to know that, oh, these 3 or 4 guys are like a team, and they're trying to bring the Mariner collective to the forefront. And once you have a squad or a crew that is all about the same thing, and then people know that they're all about it together, it's going to be easier to be able to break through, knowing that, oh yeah, if I watch this guy, he's connected to these 2 guys, or oh, I watch this guy, he knows this guy and this guy. So, and everyone's going to have their own take. And I already have seen a little things of you and Trident, going over Mariners. So I already know that you guys aren't dummies and you know what you're talking about. And, that always makes it more enjoyable too, when you got people that don't just have hot takes. They actually understand the game and that are smart and actually have something important to say, Uh-oh. Shit. One-on-one. Connor McMichael. Oh boy, wanted to win his money. Connor to a Connor. God damn it. 2-1 Caps. Well, you might win your money now. Now we're forced to get this goal here, or we're just going to lose 2-1. So we got to pray like a motherfucker that we can get to overtime. Actually, I don't even want to get into overtime, because when we go to overtime, we lose every time. So we need to find a way to get 2 goals in the third period, which is very unlikely. But if we do, we'll win. But if it goes to overtime, it's kind of like the Mariners. When you go to extra innings, it's not so good. When you're in close games, not so good. So, well, of course. I know you did it with hot takes. You like to be able to, go that route, the shock value, the arguing and whatnot, and, this take or that take, but I think like we're getting to a point in like TV and podcasting where you're getting all these former athletes that they think they can do it and whatnot. But again, the popularity of arguing over dumb takes is going away. Like there's not a lot of people that are going out of their way to watch Stephen A. and Skip Bayless and that type of show as much as they did in years past. There is a need to be able to have good quality content, real content, genuine content, and genuine takes on what's going on in the league, on whatever league you're covering. Everyone is going to have their own opinions and whatnot, but it's like you don't want to say a bunch of lies and a bunch of fake things just to try to get views. Of course, that's what a lot of people do on social media nowadays too. They just come up with fake stuff that they don't even believe in, but they do it just to argue to try to get views. I mean, like I said, I feel like, podcasting and stuff that you see on TV, it's at its very worst. And I feel you will get better entertainment and better content on YouTube. I feel that not every YouTuber is going to live up to that standard, but I feel that, I mean, if you're comparing what you see on TV and podcast, even in someone, that doesn't know all of the answers can still be better than what you have on TV. But if you get someone that really puts in a lot of effort with film study and reading and understands the game, you're going to get something more enjoyable on YouTube than you are on TV and podcasts, because a lot of the stuff on TV and podcasts is just absolutely terrible. Two, one, gap. Connor McMichael. Throw up a photo of him. Damn it. McMichael scored yesterday as well when they got absolutely obliterated by Edmonton. But the way that this game is going, it kind of feels like we may lose 2-1 unless we have a miracle here at the end. Connor McMichael, unassisted. And again, we didn't get off to a very good start, and that's a key for usually Kraken games. We have to be able to get off to a fast start, and the longer we go without getting that first goal, it feels like we're going uphill, like riding a bike. And it's like, gosh, it's like we know we can go downhill at some point and we can relax, but it's like once we have that pressure when we're down 1-0 or 2-0, we're not like an elite team where we know we can come back. We're still very raw and, still out of the playoff picture. So, yeah. Trey Wingo. I do enjoy Red Zone. Red Zone is nice. But again, I don't really watch Good Morning Football and Pat McAfee show like I did, but I felt like those were really the only two that were watchable. But I do enjoy Red Zone when I watch games, when I'm doing the channel and whatnot, like depending on if, I'm streaming for like Sunday night, but I watch Red Zone, and whatever I got going on. So I usually will keep up on, 3-4 games at the same time. That's the only way that you're going to be able to keep up, not only in fantasy football, if you want to be a fantasy god and actually be elite at it, but it also makes you smarter overall. That's why I'm doing the NHL and all the games and all the different teams and MLB and NASCAR. It's like you have to be able to, dive in, to certain things, even if you feel it might be a little bit uncomfortable. But the more, you do, the more comfortable, you feel. So for me now, like I feel I can literally do anything. NBA, college hoops, NHL, MLB, any matchup, any team, doesn't matter. There literally isn't anything that I could do a stream and I would be out of my element. I feel that I could feel pretty fucking comfortable doing almost anything. But again, it's like, you have to go through, the trials and tribulations, and you have to just go through the matchups. And I'll tell you what, this year and last year, I feel like I'm finally getting back to where I was when I was a kid, when I watched the NHL. And again, the game changed, the athletes changed, but again, it's just about getting, ramped up back into it again. So. Yeah, ESPN is garbage. But again, CBS Sports, Fox Sports, I mean, a lot of these, and then you're starting to see, more and more athletes that are trying to do podcasts, because they see that the success that people that aren't famous, that try to become a name, they're like regular people that are doing big things. And then they're also seeing these other athletes trying to get a piece of the pie and whatnot. But again, just because you're a former athlete doesn't mean you have a good voice or you know what you're talking about. And that's the thing that they don't understand. You might be able to get a draw because of who you are and what you did, but ultimately for you to be able to grow and to be able to have an amazing fan base and to be able to keep those people, it has to be more than, oh, I played in the NFL or I played Major League Baseball. There's a lot of people that played, and stuff, but if you don't have a good voice or you don't know what you're talking about, what's going to make anyone go out of their way to watch you? Why? Just because you were a former pro player, Oh, I have a hack sighting. So blue sport coat, white dress shirt with stripes, and a purple tie. So I'm not sure if that purple tie is good or bad. I'm not sure if Megan is in the room anymore either, but finally we got a hack sighting, and that's another reason why we're probably losing. We didn't get the hack tie sighting until fucking 4 minutes in the third period. Exactly. A lot of the people that are on the shows are very terrible. Like, I can't even watch it, for free. Like, just watching them, it's like I can't put my brain through it, because all I hear is just horrible. It's all about arguing. You know what I mean? It's just like this culture nowadays of, people getting knocked out and people arguing. It's like Stone Age, kind of mentality. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be something other than watching people getting knocked out in videos all day and all night, and people arguing back and forth over nothing. At some point the culture has to change, and there needs to be channels out there. The public deserves channels that don't have an agenda, that just want to call it how they see it. And I feel that I'm one of them, but there's not enough of them out there. And I never will sell out, to try to get more views and more subs and more donos. I'm always going to keep it 100. 23 shots on goal for the Kraken and the Caps. We need a fucking miracle, baby. And also, too, the last time ESPN was good is when they had no competition, and they were the only ones that had the highlights. And when you had guys like Stuart Scott, those were legends, those were GOATs, but also they had no competition. You have to remember that. That's why ESPN was king, because they were the only ones that had the highlights at the time, and they actually had really uber talented personalities that had great voices and great chemistry. They have no one like that anymore, and then you have all these other, Fox Sports, CBS, and all these people thinking that they can get a piece of the pie, and they fail to realize that there's more talent on YouTube than there are in these podcasts and shows. But just because you're a former player, you think that people are going to watch. But the dumb people will watch if they want to waste 3 hours of their day, watching Kendrick Perkins takes. I could think of a billion things that I would rather do than listen to him talk for 5 seconds. Like, he's got nothing for me to watch. There's not one thing for him that's worth saying, Like, the only one that's worth actually listening to is like, JJ Redick, because, he actually is knowledgeable, and calls it right down the middle and is honest and true. He doesn't have to be controversial or say some bullshit take like a lot of the other guys do, because that's the only thing that they can keep them relevant, is saying some bullshit lie, and get called out for it, And that, as far as like NBA is concerned, and the best thing that the NBA has is, Kenny the Jet Smith and Shaq and that group, that, and Charles Barkley. That's the best group, that actually talks NBA, and it's a pre-show and a post-show. That shows you where the NBA is at. You got a bunch of idiots that think they are must-see TV, and newsflash, you're not. Like, you take a lot of those guys that have, parts in a show, and if you put them on a YouTube channel, would anyone fucking watch? Hell no. Because a lot of times it's like producers telling them to say it this way or that way, or just something blatant, like going over a top 5 list of quarterbacks and Joe Burrow's not on it. Like, I know exactly what you're doing. You're fishing for those people to say, hey, where's Joe Burrow? And that's exactly when they've gotten you. You have to be smarter than them, and they're going to try to rely on those naive people that are pointing out the obvious. Duh, he's obviously not on the list to try to get you to react. And once you've reacted, then they've gotten you. But you just have to be smarter than that. That's why anytime you see like a top 5 list and a top 10 list and there's a blatant name that's missing, it's strategy. They do it on purpose. But again, if you're naive or you're stupid, then you click on it, you complain, you're commenting, you're yelling at the TV, and that's exactly what they want you to do, is interact. And that's why that they got you. But I would rather, hear people agree and actually come up with a actual good take than just having 2 people be idiots back and forth and screaming and yelling, and then at the end of the day, you don't even have an actual take out of it. So, yeah, I haven't watched it in 15 years, maybe 20. All right, we got 1 minute left for a miracle. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, but we got an empty net here. But it might end up being 3-1, and Connor might end up winning his money here. You can always find a way to get a cheap empty net goal. But hopefully the Kraken can find a way to go to OT. But if we go to OT, we have a terrible record in overtime. It's like watching the Mariners and watching the Kraken in overtime, because I almost feel like I know what's going to happen before it happens. And we already know that, yeah, sometimes you can, beat the numbers and find a way to get the dub. But, statistics are real. Analytics are real. Come on, Maddie. This one feels like it's going to be 2-1, or they get a cheap empty net goal, 3-1. And this is why the Kraken, don't deserve to make the playoffs, and I don't think that they will even get close. It's like, if you play up to the competition, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Like Vegas Golden Knights or Colorado, we're already amped up for that game, right? And sometimes you get this huge win and huge victory. But if you play down to the competition and you're kind of a bad team and you play a bad team and then you end up losing to a bad team, we have too many games like this season, to be, and it sucks because I feel that we're underachieving based off the talent level that we have on the roster. There's too many good players on the roster for us to be playing like this. But again, that's why things need to change. We need to get better players on the roster. Goaltending has been pretty good tonight. It's only 2-1, but yeah, and at home too. It's like sometimes you have to be real and you have to be honest. Like being a Kraken fan, being a Mariner fan. It's like we can't just be biased and be like Julio, fuck everybody else. Rangers suck, Astros suck. When deep down we know they don't. It's like you have to keep it honest and keep it real. Anyone that ends up being like overly biased, no one will ever take you serious. And it kind of gets annoying, when people are being blatantly lying and they're lying on how they truly feel. It's like, you got to be able to go through the ups and the downs, But the nice thing about the Pacific Northwest teams, though, is when we're good, we're really fucking good, and you'll know it. And we'll be in contention for a championship. But when we're bad and we say we're bad, we typically are exactly what we say we are. So. But the fan love and appreciation will never go away. The support and appreciation for Pacific Northwest teams is just as high as anywhere else in the country. Very, very passionate fans, because we're used to having our heart broken. So when things go bad, our heart is already black. Our heart ain't red like everyone else's. Our heart has already died, many, many times, through the heartbreak and the losses that we've incurred of being a Pacific Northwest fan for our team. So, when good things happen, we're not going to get overly excited. When bad things happen, we're not going to get depressed. We already know what it is. So, end of the third period, 2-1 Caps. Fucking brutal. What a terrible loss. Wow. Imagine being a Mariner fan since the mid-'80s. I got some numbers on you. You've been a Mariner fan from 2004 to 2022 and beyond. Or being a Mariner fan from that time period. Well, you started watching around the late 90s, early 2000s, right? Tough day for the Kraken. Tough day with the Donos. But again, not every day you're going to be able to hit the goal. Sometimes you're going to have a challenging day. But what I do know is that anytime you end up having a challenging game or a challenging result, or like subs, Donos aren't maybe as what you were expecting, you have tomorrow as another day to be able to prove yourself, and another day to be able to try to hit the goal. So we didn't get to the goal today, but I know we'll have a very good chance tomorrow or the next day. So we don't have anything really on the slate for NHL tomorrow, because the games are Bootios tomorrow. So we will do an NFL stream going over moves that happened last night, tomorrow morning, and in the afternoon. So I'll message Sarah. So for some of y'all, I'll either stream at 5 o'clock Pacific or 6. Depending on, whatever schedule. I'll talk about it with Sarah and whatnot. So it'll either be from 5 to 7, and then if we get more people, possibly to 8. or we'll do from 6 to 8 and possibly till 9. So it'll either be a 2 to 3 hour stream depending on flow and who shows up, and then we'll go from there. So, but I do appreciate everyone very, very much. Shout out to everyone in the room. Shout out to Sarah and Judah, Reflect, Rooftop, Megan, and all of y'all. And again, we'll do an NFL stream tomorrow around 5 or 6 p.m. And then when we get towards the weekend, we'll look at the schedule and then we'll go from there. So tough loss for the Kraken. Final score: Cap 2, Kraken 1. Reflect with a 5er at the buzzer here to try to get us a little bit higher of a number. What do you want to do for photos before I go? You want anything now, or do you want to wait till tomorrow? I'll throw up some photos for you if you like food or Mariners or whatever you want. $5 holla, stacks on stacks, racks on racks, a little cactus jack, bang, bang. What would you like? Do you want photos now, or do you want to wait till tomorrow? Tomorrow? All right, I got you. Appreciate you very, very much for the last minute support. And again, I know tomorrow or the next day we'll end up having a big day. That's just typically how it goes. So I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very much. Tough loss for the Kraken, and we'll do NFL tomorrow. And I got one question for you. We know talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Shout out to all the people on Twitter /X as well as in the room. I love you, and I'm out. Okay.